Hello everybody and welcome. Today we're going to be doing archaeology on the planet Mars. Now, I don't really believe there ever was a civilization on Mars, but it's kind of fun to check, and also this is my channel. No one watches my videos, I can do whatever I want. So today we're going to be looking for stuff on Mars. Right now I have it set up to like topography mode just to get my bearings, but when we find something interesting, we switch to the high-res data, which is far more detailed, and we can find stuff down to meters of resolution, which is great. So, yeah. Now, if we're going to be looking for life on Mars, or at least evidence of intelligence on Mars, we have to kind of address some things about Mars's past. Mars very likely did have an ocean at some point in its history, probably around 3 to 4 billion years ago. So it had a thicker atmosphere, it had water, it was probably far more habitable than it is today. And that means life could very easily have started, but could life have developed to intelligence? Now, here on Earth, life started very quickly, very soon after the Earth was habitable, but it stayed cellular, like multicellular or single cellular, for about 4 billion years, and only became complex about a billion years ago. Like, most of the history of life on Earth was microbes, and it seemed to have become complex shortly after Snowball Earth, or at least one of them, which kind of gives some idea or some credence to the idea that it was radical environmental change that spurred complexity, but we don't know. We really don't know. Point is, you need about a billion years to go from microbes to us if it really gets going. And Mars was probably a harsh place back in the day. Sure, it was much more habitable than it is now, but it was probably not great. So that's a that is a point in the favor of life on Mars. Um, how long was Mars habitable? I don't know. From what I could find, it seems that the ocean on Mars lasted probably around a million years, but it could have been longer. It's hard to say. So, so yeah. Um, assuming that the ocean on Mars and its atmosphere were only persistent for maybe, I'm gonna say like 500 million years. Let's split the difference. Life could have easily become complex, but could it have become um like intelligent? And don't know. I doubt it. So that is a kind of a point against it, is just the time scales involved. Like there probably just wasn't enough time for life to develop intelligence, but who knows? Maybe it evolved quickly, or maybe it's not native to Mars. Um, what I'm doing right now is I'm looking for the face on Mars. It's up here in a region called Cydonia, and if I remember, it is near Bamberg Crater. So I think it's somewhere in this area. Arandis, that sounds familiar. Yeah, somewhere between these two craters is the face on Mars. Now, the face on Mars isn't real. It isn't an actual face. It wasn't carved. It is just pareidolia. It was a mountain that the brain is like, that looks roughly like a face, therefore it is a face. And the shadows did not help with that. So, the face on Mars is not a real thing. Ah, there it is. See, that is the face on Mars. You can see kind of what they mean, where it's like, under the right lighting conditions, this would be an eye, and then the mouth would have been right here, and you would have seen a bit of a nose. So, like, yeah, it's not a face. Although some people say, oh, look, it's a lion's face, because there's the nose, and there's the mouth, and the whiskers, and the eye. And it's like, no, it is not a lion. That is also pareidolia. But still, yeah, no, the face on Mars is interesting. People call this a pyramid down here, and then like ruined city, and it's like these are mountains, these are rocks. But it's still an interesting feature on Mars. So let's go look for who knows what we'll find. Let's see here. If I were a Martian city, I would be on the coast of a river. This seems to be the outflow channels for the ocean. Like the low regions can be safely assumed to have been where water pooled. I have no idea how old Valles Marineris is. I suspect it formed after Mars was habitable, so I'm gonna doubt that any Martians would have built their cities near that. So but we will look for rivers, and there are plenty of what appear to be river outflow channels. This one up here is calling to me near Orson Welles crater. So we will switch over to high rise and see what we can find along this river. Now, was this an actual water river, or was this something like glacial? It doesn't feel glacial. Actually, wait, how wide is it? That's the real question. How wide is it? New measurement. From there. Oh, that's 4 kilometers wide. Yeah, that's not a river. That is a glacier right there, my friend. Yeah, that is definitely going to be... Or a collapsed lava tube. Either way, 4 kilometers is awfully wide. Yeah, no, these are canyons. Um, these are canyons. I'm not going to say that those are rivers. However, we might be able to find some river channels around here, because a lot of this is outflow. Like, if we switch back to topography, you can really see that some stuff was happening here. Now, granted, a lot of this behavior could be from wind. Like, wind flowing down the canyon will do that. So we can't assume what we're looking at is water related. We have to be pragmatic about it. However, some of these do look like erosion channels. Like, look at this right here. Let's switch back to high rise. Now, okay, I fossil hunt for fun whenever I can, and exploring coulees in the Badlands, you get stuff like this all the time from just erosion of the ash and stuff. How big are you? You are 1,000 meters across. Now, well, wait. Yeah, so it's still about a kilometer. That's awfully wide, so we're not looking at rivers here either. Or if we are, that's crazy, but I doubt it. I'd actually be interested to find a proper river channel, but I don't know where we would find a proper river channel. Because I'm looking in the canyons right now. But it's safe to assume that our Martians will not have built in the lowlands, because the lowlands would have been full of water. Plus, that's the Arctic. We're gonna move away from the Arctic a little bit. All right. Well, again, assuming the lowlands are like the ocean's shoreline, we're gonna kind of chill in this area because, again, going off life on Earth, civilizations were built on waterways. We liked our rivers, we liked our oceans, we liked our lakes. So, if I were a Martian, building on the coast of the ocean would have been a good shot. What kind of size are we looking at right now? How wide is this crater? A kilometer wide. Okay, so we're looking at about a kilometer resolution right now. So we're very high up. So we're going to zoom in a little bit more, and we're going to scan. We're going to scan and scan and scan. What have we here? Clearly a crater. An interesting crater, though. It has a little divot in its central peak. Interesting. Where are we? I think we're a bit too far into the lowlands. How we looking? No, no, we're still away from them. Let's stay up here, though. Looking at the topography, let's stay up a bit higher. Because again, our Martians would not have built their cities in the ocean. Now, I do say that, even though we've built cities like at and below sea level, because we're absolute mad lads, but most of our cities are not in the ocean. So maybe, I wonder, would our Martians have built near the volcanoes of Tharsis? That is a question. I don't think they would have. Well, maybe, it depends. Maybe they got geothermal energy out of it. Maybe we can find something around, like on the Tharsis Bulge here, near Olympus Mons. Or Tharsis Mons, or Ares Mons. You know what? Yeah, we're gonna explore the Tharsis Bulge. I have a hunch. Will the hunch pay off? Probably not, but you know what? It's still fun to check. Interesting erosion patterns. Interesting, interesting. Mars is looking awfully bleak at the moment. The funny thing is, I love xenoarchaeology. I love the concept of it. I like the idea of finding artifacts and ruins from something somewhere else. And although I'm very, very skeptical about it all, I love the idea. Unfortunately, with the information I have available, all I can really do with this on is Mars and the Moon. Because the only way you can really plausibly do it is, look at here. We have outflow. Now, those look like shadows, but these longer streaks, that looks like fluid. Now, this happens on Mars sometimes. There have been some images of crater walls where this kind of stuff happens, where one flyover pass does not show them, and then a couple months later, another flyover shows them. Now, what causes these? We're not 100% sure. It could be just dust falling down, rocks, like disturbing dust from underneath it, or it could be fluid. It could be an upwelling of like a brine that comes out and pours down the wall. So that is interesting. This isn't evidence of a civilization, but that's still interesting. See, we're finding interesting places. Where am I on Mars? Where are we? We are near Gigas Fossa. Okay. Oh, I lost it. Or maybe I didn't. Yeah, no, I lost it. Anyways, so that's interesting. We did in fact find something of interest out here in the middle of nowhere. Oh, look, there's more. Oh, there's lots of it. It's happening a lot over here. Okay, so we have... I'm gonna I'm gonna hazard a guess, and I'm gonna say it's probably like dust. In fact, that was very long. I don't know topography of that hill, but that could also just be a dust devil track. Now, dust devils do leave tracks in Martian dust. However, considering the other ones here, they all aim away from the peaks, it could be an outflow of something. Because if it is a fluid, like, because there could be fluid like water underneath the surface, and if it breaks through, it will flow down the surface and evaporate as it goes. So it won't get very far before it all evaporates back into the atmosphere, but it would disturb the soil. So what we could be looking at here in this little area is upwellings. Now that looks more like a dust devil trail. That doesn't strike me as an outflow. In fact, that right there too, that might be a dust devil trail. If you can see the cursor, you can. If not, I'm pretty sure you can see what I'm talking about here. This trail along the thing. That could be a dust devil. Same with this one here, actually. Usually in like the dusty flatlands, you'll find trails that are sometimes dust devil trails, because there are dust devils and whirlwinds on Mars that do that. Now, considering we're finding a lot of these in this area, I'm leaning more towards these being caused by dirt, uh, erosion events, soil and rock tumbling down the side, probably knocked down by wind. That's what that feels like to me, because if this was water, then there's just a lot of water in this region melting and bubbling out of the ground. And that just seems a little unlikely, considering I'm not a planetary scientist. I don't know. But considering we're finding so many of it, I'm going to assume that's erosion. That's just rocks and dust falling down. Because there are some areas and craters that do that. So that's around Gigas Faso, if anyone wants to end Gigas. Okay, yeah, so it's right in this area. If anyone wants to come and look at it. I should have had a little thing that tells me exactly latitude, longitude, but I can't find it. Wait, maybe I can do this. Nope, whatever. Either way, there it is. Let's carry on our quest. Why are we up here again? I forget. Oh, right. We were hanging out on the Tharsis Bulge, looking for evidence of Martians. Ah, now that looks just like wind-blown stuff. My chair keeps squeaking because it is old, and I hate it. And I keep yawning for some reason. That is a dark little thing. I wonder if that's a fresh impact. No, that wouldn't be a fresh impact. These things do sometimes happen. Oh, I wonder if we can find Viking. Either in Chryse or Utopia. I doubt it, though. It's a jagged looking rock. These are all fractures. I wonder if it's like collapsed lava tubes. This feels like a collapsed lava tube to me. That looks like a giant trilobite. It isn't, but it looks like it. And considering that we're right next to a massive shield volcano with look at that caldera. Seeing lava tubes is not a terribly outlandish idea. Yeah, that looks like a collapsed subterranean structure. That strikes me as lava tube right there. Could be wrong, but that's what it looks like. Again, I am not a planetary scientist. I am the most amateur of amateurs. I just like looking. Right. Okay, maybe Tharsis wasn't the best idea. Well, where would be a good place to look next? Where's what was that, Korolev crater? The big crater in the north. No, it wasn't you. It's like a big cold trap. There's ice in it. Uh, no. May. Or is it in the south? I don't think it's in the south. Lol. There's a big old crater. There's Hellas. I don't care about Hellas. Near the Arctic. And it's like a cold trap. There's a big sheet of exposed ice in it. I don't remember where there it is, Korolev. See, I told you I wasn't crazy. Yeah, Korolev, here we go. Yeah, this actually just is water ice. It's a cold trap, so like the atmosphere inside the crater is a little bit thicker and a little bit colder than the surroundings. So ice just persists. Now, when I say a little bit thicker, I mean by a little bit, but it is colder, so like it basically traps um ice. So this is a big old ancient glacier. This is some stuff I would love to drill into and get samples from, because you don't know what you're going to find in that ice, and that is really cool. There's also a crater in KSP on Duna that is a reference to this. Actually, there's a couple of them. But right, we're not going to find aliens in Korolev Crater. At least not intelligent ones. We might find microbes there, though. I'm totally down for that. Go away. Oh, wait. I can just do that? How did I do that? I don't know what I did to get that information to pop up. I'm dumb. Yeah, I have no idea how to use this. If that hasn't become completely obvious. Beer? Is that a crater or is that a mountain? It's a crater. All right. Well, we at least found beer. I guess. I don't drink, so it doesn't do much for me, but that's interesting. We found beer. I used to drink beer. I liked it. But not anymore because it has wheat in it and it'll hurt you. Ooh, okay. These crisscrossing patterns in the dust here, those look like dust devil trails to me. There's a bunch of them. So it's definitely like wind activity. Oh, there's a lot of it. Look at it. Again, I don't know if that is the case. It could just be material being blown in the wind normally, but dust devils do make these kind of tracks in the dust sometimes. So that actually could be dust devil tracks. Although there's a lot of it. It could also just be wind blowing like debris and striations along paths. Well, okay. It could be, but it's unconfirmed. It's probably just wind blowing dark material over the lighter material. But man, there's such nice little even like striations. It's fascinating. Okay. Let's carry on. I don't know what resolution we're at. What resolution are we at? How big is that crater? 73 meters. So if I do, how big is a kilometer? That is a kilometer. You know what? This is actually a good resolution to look for stuff. If there are large scale structures, you'd be able to see it from this height. So this will cover less ground, but we'll be able to actually see things. Granted, I doubt we're going to find anything up here. We need to find a river. Or something that would be like a location where it would make sense to build a city, you know? Of course, we also have to account for 3 to 4 billion years of wind and erosion. So an area that looks bleak and flat today could have been a river in the past. Like, there could be a riverbed buried under dust and material, for all I know. So this could just be a fool's errand. Well, I mean, I know it is a fool's errand because we're not going to find a city on Mars. I just like to look because it's interesting. And who knows what other cool things we will find on the enigmatic red planet. Enigmatic? Ugh, English. I'm not very good at English. It's my first language. I'm not good at it. I do find it curious how some parts of Mars are far more heavily cratered than others. Like, the cratering isn't terribly uniform on Mars. And I find that interesting. It's kind of like how the crust on the moon is very ununiform. It's interesting. Like, the moon's crust and density is all over the place, so its gravity is all over the place. So you can't have stable orbits in lunar orbit. You always, like, in order to stay stable in the orbit of the moon, you have to continuously adjust your orbit, otherwise you're just going to crash. Like, the moon's gravity is lumpy, and it decays spacecraft very quickly. Like, I'm talking, if you toss out a CubeSat in lunar orbit, it'll be crashing, like, a couple weeks at most. Like, it's not going to be up for very long. Huh. Interesting terrain we're finding. Where are we? Morova Vallis. Where is that in relation to other things? Oh. Oh, okay, we're just this side of Vallis Marineris. Cool. Well, let's keep going. Who knows what fascinating wonders await us on the Red Planet? If someday man were to walk upon the sands of Mars, what will they find? And something and so forth. Man, I always loved those old, like, future optimism things about exploring space, techno-optimism about exploring space and this and that. Sure, the people who made them were likely all racist, but the idea of the optimism of the future was great. Like, I always loved the Disney cartoon or the Disney short or documentary, Man in Space, Man in the Moon, and Mars and Beyond. Again, you watch them, some of the jokes in it incredibly racist, but the overall message is still very interesting. I love the, like, in Mars and Beyond, they talk about the Umbrella ship and an expedition to Mars, and it's so cool. And they do the whole, like, what will we find when we set foot on Mars? We find the ruins of a long dead civilization, or the more conservative view of a lowly vegetable life struggling to survive. And it's like, aw, the idea of finding plants on Mars was conservative. Which nowadays that constitutes an incredibly optimistic and somewhat ludicrous idea. I mean, there could be plants on Mars. They wouldn't be like leafy plants. They would probably be like cyanobacteria kind of plants. Or euglena. But I mean, like, a single cell plant is still a plant. But would they photosynthesize? Because I doubt that any life on Mars exists on the surface. Although, to be fair, Viking did have those interesting results from the soil that could have been life. But we don't know because we haven't gone back and done direct life finding. I wish they would, but they haven't. Oh well. Well, we're coming up on 30 minutes. I'm probably going to call it there for now. I might do more of this. I doubt this video will break more than like 30 views at best. But I don't care because this has been kind of fun. I like exploring, and I could do Space Engine, but there's only so much of Space Engine you can do before it becomes repetitive. At least with this, we're looking at topography. So if you found it interesting and have lasted the full 30 minutes of watching me explore Mars, let me know. Oh my goodness, I can do this. I can sit on the ground. Let me know, and I'll do more. In fact, I will also do the moon, because there's a lot of really good high-res image of the moon. We can go look for artifacts on the moon. See if we can prove the book, Inherit the Stars, and find Lunarians. My cat wants to come in, so I should probably go let him in. So, thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I am in Ostrov Crater near Bison and Jail. Jal. Yes, I will do more of this because why not Nardo? There's a crater called Nardo? That's awesome. Anyways, thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, subscribe. Support the Patreon account. I don't know. In fact, support the Patreon. Like, subscribe to the Patreon. And then use ad blocker on YouTube because ads suck. That's my free advice. Mars.